Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc. I am coming at you live. We have a great show tonight. We are going to be talking about Daredevil, Iron Fist getting canceled, Luke Cage getting canceled. What's the future of the Marvel U? We're going to talk Daredevil Season 3. We're also going to talk with Richard Hamilton, the writer of How to Train Your Dragon graphic novel adaptations and DreamWorks guy. He's been doing a whole lot of cool things. He's got his own graphic novel Scoop. And we're going to go spinning the racks to bring you the most fantastical pop culture news out there.
Fantastical is not a word.
It is tonight. I am your host, Michael Dolce, and as always, I am joined by...
Lord of the Radio,
Mr. Hassan Godwin.
Or.
How you doing, sir? Are you feeling...
That's let's not start
That's a good
with...
term?
Let's not start with existential questions. Let's just get right to the news. Let's not talk about that.
All right. Well,
how are you doing? How are you?
I am tired. I am actually legitimately tired.
There's never a good way to answer that question.
I
isn't it?
have another child who is awesome, and she's sleeping, and she's wonderful, but she has disrupted my older child.
You're obligated to say she's awesome.
No.
Right now, you don't find her awesome.
Is no, she really is. She's just beautiful. She just sits there. She makes all these little funny noises, and she's great. She really is. She's 100% great. The issue is that she has disrupted my oldest child's routine. And so now I am not sleeping. So everyone's like, oh, you're not getting any sleep, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no. I'm not, but not for the reason that you think. So it's amazing how that kind of works. But
yeah, it does. You're not selling it.
Enough about me.
I'm not getting into that.
Well, no,
I'm not doing it.
There's nothing to get into. All right. Where do we begin? I mean, we got a lot of really great, interesting things. I thought we would begin before we get into Daredevil Season 3, which is really what we want to get into. I figured we'd get into the state of the Marvel Netflix U, because last week we talked about Iron Fist getting canceled.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, literally the day Daredevil Season 3 hits, Luke Cage gets canceled. Yeah. And Daredevil is like being released to like unbelievable acclaim at the same time. Like all this stuff is happening.
And you have like a theory, right? Didn't you have like some kind of theory of how you feel that this is all going down? Which was like controversy, and then like the car over, you were like, I got an idea, but I'm not going to tell you because I wanted to.
Boy, I told you I'm not getting sleep, so I'm not exactly sure.
So you don't even remember
was.
what you're.
That
but
theory,
it sounded so in depth and intricate, and now it seems like all that was.
What did you ask me to get me to that theory? That's
you
the
said
state of
you
mind.
had like an idea of what Netflix was doing, like what the whole point was about this.
Oh, well, and, I mean, all right, we can go through a couple different theories, and then we'll get to mine. The couple different theories is that it's just all a ploy to get the Luke Cage, Heroes for Hire show.
Yeah,
together.
So a lot of people.
I think people are optimistically going
that's a
there,
fanciful,
and I don't think that's really the case.
Yeah, that's a flight of fancy. I think those shows are gone.
I really do. I actually really do as well too. We just talked about it backstage in our green room, which, by the way, if
is
you'd
not
like
green.
To be a part of our green room,
Sam needs to paint the green room green.
Become an executive producer. Go to patreon.com/secrets of the Sire. We're brought to you by all of our beloved patrons. We have a new fan. We have a new one, Craig Caruso.
Ooh, he's a superhero.
He's a new patron.
His
Welcome
name
aboard.
is alliterated. He's a superhero.
We have dedicated fans, Einar Peterson, Matt Byer, Ashley Haikai, our program director, Stephanie Dolce, our executive producer, Steve Ovecki, Brian Phillips, and Christina Gillen, and as always, our Uber fan, Christina Dolce. So thank you for being there. But why, if I'm Netflix, why am I building up the Disney streaming service at this point? You know?
Yeah. I can't. I don't know what anybody's doing at this point. Why, if you had a whole bunch of shows on another network, right? Yeah. Would you say I'm building my own network so that I can put all my content on? As soon as my network's built, I'm taking all the content off of that other network.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna put it on mine. So thanks for building up my product.
Yeah.
But it's
smart. I mean,
it's really smart. It's smart in behavior and practice. It's not smart in announcing. Right. That's what your plan is.
Right, exactly. I agree with you.
You should have launched your network and then suddenly just pulled your product so that Netflix wouldn't be able to sully all of your product by canceling it.
Right.
So now you have like the sloppy seconds
I know.
of Netflix.
I know. And that's the thing. People are definitely people are upset because, I mean, you have cliffhangers at the end of Iron Fist. Iron Fist was not necessarily season one the best well-received show, but season
Still
2,
haven't seen it. I
think turned the corner.
Okay.
Luke Cage. Now, according to this, all right. So I found some articles. Hollywood Reporter suggests that
he found articles.
A source tells Hollywood Reporter the cancellation was due to creative differences and the inability to agree to terms for a third season.
Very
of the
nebulous.
show.
What does that even mean? Creative differences between whom? Between Netflix and Disney?
Yeah.
Between the executives of Netflix and the showrunners of Luke Cage?
I mean, Mike Coulter's under contract. The showrunner's under contract. Like, they're all under contract for season 3. So they are being paid to not do stuff
But
now.
I think those contracts are null and void once they get canceled.
You know what? No. If it's a guaranteed contract, it's a guaranteed contract.
But I mean, you wouldn't initiate a guarantee of something if you're not getting your. So like in other words, it has to reach a particular projected.
If that's in the contract.
Right. Well, that's usually the contracts that they give you.
If that's in the contract. Right. If that's in the
contract.
Network.
That's a standard network contract.
Well, that's different. But I'm just saying, if they're contracted to be there for season 3. And it's not there. If season 3 does not get produced, they don't get paid. That's in the contract. Okay. If it's in the contract, they do. Then they do. Right. I mean,
perhaps. We honestly don't know.
And I don't think our audience really cares about that either. I think there's.
And then we won't talk about that.
No, I'm just saying with the, I don't think they need us to dissect the contract details that we obviously don't.
Very
have.
possible. Very possible.
All right. So there's 3 left, right? I mean, now we have Daredevil. With Jessica Jones, and this literally just popped up on our radar
and Punisher.
in the green room. And Punisher,
Daredevil,
right,
Jessica Jones, and Punisher, to name the 3 that you just said.
This article from comicbook.com actually literally just popped up. Daredevil showrunner doesn't know if series will return for 4th season. Despite the 3rd
prelude.
season premiering less than a week ago.
That's like when Trump tells everybody that you're a great help and you're a great asset to his cabinet, and then like a week later, that guy's gone.
Like, yeah, the guy's gone.
That's like the kiss of death. So like if the showrunner's like, I don't know if we're coming back, that means they're probably not coming back.
Yeah. While speaking with IndieWire about the cancellation of Iron Fist, Daredevil showrunner expressed uncertainty. I don't know what the future holds in terms of Netflix and Marvel and the new Disney streaming service and all that. I'm not really privy. That's above my pay grade. At the time of my life, I had so much fun. If you talk to anybody in the cast and crew, season 3 was a very pleasant experience for all of us, and we're very proud. So yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll get to do it again.
Was that Stephen DeKnight?
This was no, he's not the showrunner anymore. It's Eric Olson.
Sorry. I was
So,
just clarifying for that.
The series ended. We won't go into that because we don't want to spoil it. It's only been out for
Godzilla.
a week.
Godzilla showed up at the end.
Yeah, which we didn't think was going to happen.
No,
I
was completely floored.
Really crazy.
Spoiler. Sorry.
Before we get into Daredevil season 3 reviews, which we will get into, I want to hear your take because you binged it all in like one night, right?
I did.
That's amazing. At your age, your extended age, that's amazing. I can't believe you did it.
I'm going to punch you right in your forehead.
We got some great new drops tonight. I want to do a little game. I want to do a little play the percentages.
I don't want to play a game. Why is it always a game? These games never work out for me.
Life is a game. No,
life is
this
a game. No, it's not. No, it's not. Life is a punishment.
I want to hear a percentage out of 100%. What are the odds that this is going to actually happen? And if you can't come up with something, I'll give you a percentage and you go over under, okay?
All right. I don't even understand percentages, so this is going to be a complete lose for me.
What are the odds Daredevil gets a 4th season? Over under 50%?
I'd say it is at 50.
It's a push.
At 50.
I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah.
Over under push.
Huh? Yeah.
All right, that's the name of the game.
Okay, I'd say 49%.
That's the name of the game.
It's under 50. It's 49%.
Where's Chris Alpha Intern? Put it down. Over under push. That's it. That's the name of the game. All right. You're saying under 50% now or push? Where
I say push.
I stopped
push
listening
at 50.
after you pushed.
Push at 50.
Amazing. All right.
All right, fine. So yeah, that's fine. I adapt.
Odds
push at 50.
The Punisher's 2nd season even comes out. Now they filmed it.
Over 50.
Okay, I gave it. I set the benchmark at 80%. Over 80% or under 80%?
I'd say it's around 80. I'd say you could give it 80. I would actually say it's at 90.
You think it's nice? So it's over.
It's done.
80%,
It's a done deal. Everybody's paid for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like.
But
the money's already spent. Might as well just recoup.
We just talked about though. Why, if you're Netflix, would you build up someone else's network?
Because
See, that's where I got the 20% from. I was like, you know what?
Netflix has a certain amount of exposure on it, so they have to protect their own investment at this point. They're not going to go any further than that, but I mean, they did this in particular.
If they were to come out though and be like, well, it's not our fault.
No, Netflix is not going to do that. You know why? Because I would automatically make Disney the good guys. because they'd be like, oh, fine, now we have to put it on our streaming service, and now you have to come to us if you want to see this.
I could, if Netflix could, I bet you they could spin it in a way that is beneficial toward them and anti Disney.
They could really definitely spin it that way, but I think if the enthusiasm to see it is there, that's still going to drive people. Why wouldn't Netflix take the ratings?
Yeah.
From Disney and then cancel it right after it to besmirch yet another series of Disney's.
Yeah, Sam Hagar was not happy at all about whatever we were just talking about.
Sammy Hagar from Van Halen.
Hey, he's on there.
That's awesome.
There's some FNBS.
That's awesome. He's listening to us.
He's double binging. He's double binging for us. That's good. All right, over under. I get you the next one, which is pretty good. Odds Jessica Jones season 3 begins filming.
I thought it started already. I thought it began filming already.
I don't think season 3 was confirmed, but it has not started filming yet.
I had heard that it was filming already. Okay,
we're gonna go 50% benchmark, right?
Yeah. So
no push.
I say under.
I think it's under 2.
Yeah, it's under.
Under
50.
Don't you that was the first thing you said to me too when you sent me the link last week on Friday. You're like, is this thing crumbling now?
Yeah,
is this thing starting to crumble?
And you said no.
Well, okay.
I think your exact reaction was pshaw.
Yes.
You fool. Why do I even talk to you?
We were talking about something we were going to bring up in Spin the Racks, and I said pshaw to that, but not to the Netflix stuff. The Netflix stuff.
And for the record, if you had actually said pshaw, that would have been fantastic.
That's a win right there?
Yeah, that would have been like, all right, you win that. That's yours. That's Dolce's.
Understood.
Round Dolce.
All right. Odds Luke Cage and Iron Fist return in their own show together.
Under.
30% is my benchmark. What do you think? Over or under 30%? See, I like that I added the percentage. See, now
push it 30.
You need to push it 30.
Push it 30.
Man, you're killing me with these pushes here.
What, man? I think it's under. If you're gonna go over under 50, that should be the.
But 50 makes it easy for you. I'm trying to make this as hard for you as possible.
Why would you want to make it hard?
Because it makes the best radio.
No, it doesn't. Because all I do is whine.
Actually, to be fair, I just missed the greatest softball toss anybody could have given me. See, this is what happens when you don't get sleep. This is it. I'm off my game.
That's your beef. Man.
All right, last one before we go to commercial. Over under that it is the first show on the Disney streaming service. The Luke Cage, Iron Fist Heroes for Hire. Under 70%.
Way under 70.
Way under. You don't. You think it's done?
I think it's over, and I think it deserves to be over. But I think all the Marvel shows kind of deserve to. I think they should call it a wrap.
Would you say you are teasing your opinions on Daredevil season 3? Which we will. No,
I don't think I am.
I think you're teasing a particular opinion.
I'm teasing a perspective on the entire franchise, but I am not necessarily giving away my opinions of Daredevil 3.
Well, coming up next, Hassan gives his opinions on Daredevil season 3 when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Did you know you've been playing poker your whole life, even if you've never played a hand of cards? Hi, I'm Ellen Lakin, author of Poker Woman and host of the new show, Poker Divas. On the show, I talk about how poker strategy helps you win in business, life, and love. Tune in live every Thursday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network. Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday at 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way, on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
That's not cool.
Look, that means you're hitting
I
your
say
stride
funny
now.
things every day, and
Look, who said 60 is a dead age? You're doing your best work. in
we're
your 60s.
apparently we're done talking.
My
Huh?
best work, right there.
I swear to God.
This is where, as a show host, you know to go to commercial at this point.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc and streaming live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Twitch, and we're everywhere. We're literally everywhere. I feel pretty good about that. We were talking Daredevil season 3, but right before we get into that, I just want to let everyone know the new edition of The Sire is available on the online store. Go to mikebooks.com/store. Get free shipping. Enter code SIREV2. So all our listeners can get a little free shipping. Check out Volume 1. You can do it, and it actually works for anything on the site. I gave no restrictions.
You out.
I want to ship these things out. I want people to read them. I also want them to pay my incredibly marked up prices.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Cash.
All right, we were talking Daredevil season 3.
Cash me outside.
Yeah. That's you got that. Is this a return to form or a bigger mess than before? Just a little precursor. Season 2, not as well received because it just felt like there was like so much stuff going on, and they crammed a lot into it, and then it was like a lot of forced storylines, especially between Karen and Matt Murdock, where I'm sitting there going, I kind of felt like Foggy and Karen should be kind of more like
Foggy
in
got
line.
himself a totally new woman.
I know. So let's go into it. You binged the entire season.
I didn't mean to.
Well, that's good. That means
really
it must have
didn't
been
mean
good.
Well, I was working on some stuff, and so I had it on, and then
and then it just sucked you in.
Yeah, before I looked, I was at episode 11, so like I might as well finish it in one day. And then I think I informed you of that the next day. I was like, I just watched all this stuff in one day.
So give me the impression. What do we got? What are we feeling here?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't know if I can compare it to. I don't really like to compare things to other seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is a different thing. I would honestly make it a point to say if it was worse than previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this was worse. I don't know if it's on par with the first one or not. I don't really expect them to be.
Yeah.
I expect them to be. Every incarnation is going to be a little different.
Sure.
A little, either it's going to have strengths in some places and weaknesses in some others. But it wasn't a waste of my time. It wasn't like, okay, this series really needs to stop now. So it wasn't that. I will say, they played a couple of beats a little off than I would have liked, and I can't really get into specifics of that without spoiling anything.
Try to casually spoil. I think we can. I think it's been out long enough that you can kind of.
Well, at the end of Defenders, he was dead, or theoretically dead. Right. They did show at the last scene of the Defenders that he wasn't, so that's not really a spoiler. But when his two friends find out he's alive, they're kind of like, "Oh, hey, Matt." So it was kind of like it was, and it's big spoiler. It's a build up to like 5 episodes before they get an inkling that he's actually alive.
Yeah.
So you go through like 5 hours worth of, or theoretical hours of content before you get and in theory the conceit is that's one of the things you're waiting for is for them all to, for the trio to get back together, right?
Right.
So you go maybe 5 episodes before they actually meet up again.
Right.
And then there's like another 4 episodes where before they actually are on terms with him that are friendly.
Yeah.
Because they're pissed
that
he took 5 episodes to contact them in the first place. So they played that beat a little off. I thought it was going to be a little more revelatory that he wasn't dead.
Sure.
And I gotta honestly say, and I'm gonna be in the total minority about this. Vincent D'Onofrio started to drive me crazy after a while.
I feel like they overuse him now.
I like him. I think he's great in that role. I've always liked Vincent D'Onofrio going all the way back to Full Metal Jacket. Okay, I think he's a great actor.
But it's Jennifer Lawrence syndrome, right? It's like you've got this great actor, so you feel you need to use him, and then after a while,
I think it's the successful way he plays that character, where it's there's this like pent up energy.
Yeah.
But it just starts to get irksome watching him control himself. Like you get tense watching him. And not only that, but at a certain point in the series, he was becoming lethal for the sake of cartoon villain, lethality. It's like some people were getting killed just because he was the kingpin, and
right.
That this is like it got to Game of Thrones level of villainy, where it's like, oh, I'll just kill that one, and I'm just gonna casually shoot that guy in the head, and I'm gonna beat this guy to death in here, and I'm gonna do. And after a while, just like every other Marvel series, when it takes 13 hours for you to get the guy, and there's bodies on the deck every episode, your hero starts to look very ineffective.
Sure.
And you just get by the time the end came along, and there's a controversy as to whether it was a good ending or a bad ending.
Sure.
By the time, it's not really a spoiler to say this resolved itself in a hero prevails kind of way, right? By the time Daredevil prevails, you're like, yeah, I'm so tired of Kingpin, though,
right?
That it wasn't. I like villains where you're kind of on the fence. Like I really like when this guy is on camera.
Yeah.
So you're almost towards the end. You're almost pulling for the villain to pull it off just as much as you're pulling for the hero. I will say honestly, Marvel has the phenomenon where by the time the hero gets to the villain, you're so sick of the villain that you're like, finally, get rid of this guy so that we can move on. So, I mean, the same thing happened with Luke Cage and I forget the actress's name, but you were so tired of her. But you were like, oh, all right, enough.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with Jessica Jones, So especially with the Purple Man, with Kilgrave, like, all right, get rid of that guy. So there was that. Those were the only 2 really major things I had with it. I thought the pacing was way better.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was
I definitely think
on.
so too. I think just right from the opening scene, right, you just knew there was a clarity to what they were trying to do in this versus what they've done in season 2. And look, season 1.
And I love the Sister Maggie character, and everything about her, And I like the relationship between the 3 of them, the Sister Maggie and the father, and Matt. I thought Matt was a little annoying because he had an attitude.
Always is though.
For the
is. There's something about him that I don't love. I
like him as Matt Murdock. He's better than Affleck as Matt Murdock.
Oh well, I mean,
but so is Root Canal.
That's not really too hard to do.
That's not really. And the guy's British, so he does a great American accent. Something about his attitude. It's like, oh, come on, dude. You're Daredevil. Like there is a certain kind of level of conceit for a superhero at that level where when they start to behave petulantly, it's way worse than when a normal character becomes petulant.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, you've taken on the responsibility to be the hero of this city, right? And you've taken on the responsibility of actually saving all these people and fighting these villains. You don't have the luxury of being a jerk. towards the only people who are kind of looking out for you. Maybe you want to avoid them because you don't want them to get hurt. Maybe you disagree with them. Maybe they're the antagonists and they disagree with you. But you can't be petulant. Like, I don't want to talk to you because you lied to me. But you've been lying to everybody.
I know.
How do you take that position? But
I know. I think that's one of the things that, throughout the entire series, though, there's always those moments where you're like between Foggy and Matt where it's like, you just feel like that. And but I agree. I think in this season, I think it wasn't as annoying, I guess. Is the best way to
he was annoying, but he wasn't as annoying. The pacing was good. It didn't feel like, wow, it's been all right. 13. I mean, like I said, the D'Onofrio thing is real, and that's an oddity because he was really great in that role. I don't think he was. I don't think he was terrible in that role at all.
Yeah, he's always great in that
I
role.
think he was. I think what the problem was I think his caliber of acting was just way above everybody else's. So it just was out of place. It just felt like a weird addition. Every time he popped up, it was like a whole different. Like you had to get yourself ready for an entirely different form of storytelling at that point.
What do we think about the villains in this, though? Because that's one of the things that, again, without going into too much detail, because we're trying not to spoil it. If you have to spoil it, though, it's been out for a week. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. The addition of the other villain took a while. And I'm a little ashamed that it took me a while to, that's who that is. It took me a minute to figure that out.
Yeah.
He started to get annoying also. I don't know. There's something weird about the way they do their peripheral characters, where they actually humanize them a little too much.
Yeah,
they're all. I mean, sympathetic is one thing you want to achieve.
Yeah,
but they all come off as a little pathetic.
Yeah,
like childish, like very immature. So like it's great to I don't know, Jack Napier from the 1991. He was a kind of a sympathetic bad guy because of what happened to him, so you kind of understood why he lost his mind, but he didn't stop being a villain.
Yeah.
Like you still wanted him to get beat. I think you can identify with your villain without making them seem pathetic, like wimpy.
Yeah.
Almost. Like they're very deadly, but they're also kind of like these personalities that you wouldn't want to be near, even if they weren't sociopaths.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to talk to that guy. That guy's a little clingy.
You had asked me, again, back in the green room, go to patreon.com/secrets of the sire, about the fact that his costume, he never really donned his costume the entire season.
Yeah.
That is
and
one
I asked you how you felt
spoiler.
about that.
We will do that. And the funny thing about that, I am probably in the minority here. I actually love that because I have a real problem with seeing superheroes on screen. I'll explain what I mean when we come back. Plus, we've got Richard Hamilton, How to Train Your Dragon, graphic novelist, writer, coming up as well when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Do you like comic books and movies? How about TV and pop culture? Then you've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Michael Dolce, host of Secrets of the Sire. Joined every week by my co-host Hassan, Lord of the Radio Godwin. Together, we have over 15 years' experience creating graphic novels, screenplays, and more. Join us as we bring you the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul. Join me to uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to living a healthy life. Join us every Wednesday at my new time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
The initial idea was to replace Daredevil with Michael B. Jordan in season 3. Because rumor, Michael B. Jordan starring in every movie.
He's going to be hosting the show next week.
Is he going to be my co-host?
Yeah, he's going to be.
Hassan, I would fire you so fast if I could get Michael B. Jordan.
All right, well, there's that solidarity we were talking about.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, and streaming live everywhere, except on Twitch, which I realize is now a blank screen. I'll figure that out. Always technical difficulties, but we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube.
Now that you hung the lantern,
we're live on Periscope.
We're not responsible anymore.
This is very true.
You've acknowledged it, so that it's not our problem.
I agree.
Anymore.
I agree. All right,
that's how you do that.
Let me clarify my statement before we went to commercial.
You're a jerk.
We were talking about at the end of the day. I am. You were asking about the fact that he never dons his costume. I actually, in all of these Marvel Netflix shows, they actually do such a great job of building the characters up and the real world situations. I do love that. But I think I've just drifted now that all of these comic book movies and comic book TV shows have become reality, that we're actually seeing these on screen. I almost kind of join the Alan Moore theory of I just kind of like my comic books being my comic books.
Yeah.
And I almost hate it when it gets too superhero-y. I hate it when like that Daredevil costume to me just feels like look, it's not a bad costume, but I just don't feel like someone really would wear that. Yeah. Like, I know they explained it. They did a really nice job of being, well, it's armor and it can protect him, and the guy's like, well, I thought it would be kind of cool, but like, I just don't feel like someone really would do that. Like Jessica Jones, when I was watching Jessica Jones, I'm so into it up until the point where she lifts the car up, and this is like at the very beginning. I'm like, and it takes me out of the reality of people with supernatural abilities versus superhero abilities. I don't know. There's something about it. Mind you, Marvel movies, I absolutely love them. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Maybe it's because they're up on a big screen versus maybe the intimacy of my own.
I think that's the problem with the shows in general is that, as the opposite of what you're saying is that they keep running away from the superhero. You know?
They toggle in between. That's
because
the problem.
Punisher was a Punisher for the first episode of that, and then it just became a soap opera after that.
I agree. And
it's got to stop. That's one of the main problems with these shows.
But Punisher is a great example of they don't need to do anything with that character on TV that they're not doing in the comic. Like in the comic, he's Punisher. Basically, you're going to have a scenario where a bad guy is set up to be a bad guy. There's going to be bad things happening. And eventually, he's just going to become Frank Castle. He's going to kill all of them. And how he kills them is just as much fun.
He's going to Hulk out and throw everybody into the sun.
It's just as much fun as the fact that, you're setting up bad people are going to get their comeuppance. Right. That's the beauty of Punisher.
It's like a Friday the 13th movie. You're setting up.
That's it. You don't need to do anything crazy. Set up a cool villain. Set up a cool storyline. That's
setting
fine.
Up all these
but
amoral
at the end,
teens to be murdered by
they
Jason
will be
Voorhees.
murdered, and you will feel vindication. You'll be excited about it.
And they don't do it.
No, I agree 100%. All right, we're going to curtail that for a bit. We're going to come back in the next segment, and we're going to get a couple of commenters' opinions on this. But I want to welcome our guest. This is a lot of fun to have him on the show because we were in the trenches 12 years ago, Wizard World Chicago, promoting. I was promoting the release of The Sire, and he was promoting Return of the Super Pimps. Mr. Richard Hamilton, how you doing, sir?
Hey guys, hey Mike, how are you?
Doing really, really great. I love kind of getting into the history of all the folks back then that were, Richard reached out to me. Do you remember me? And I was like, of course I remember you. They're like, we were fighting the good fight, back
You're
in
still
back in the
fighting
day.
the good fight.
I've given up. I don't fight anymore. I've conceded. I've conceded. Just write me a check and do this as quick as possible. But now, I bring up where you came from, but now you've gone so much further. It's awesome to kind of see. Give folks at home just a quick, brief overview of the stuff you've been able to be working on, both in comics and in TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I was self-publishing comics for a while, and that's how I met you, Mike. And then, and it was a blast. I had a great time. And then my wife got pregnant with our first child, and it was time to get a real job. And
I hate those
but my
jobs.
resume was horrible because it just said, comic book publisher / film school graduate. So it was essentially unhirable anywhere. But I thought, well, I can temp because they don't look at your resume that way. And I lived in L.A. I came out here for film school, and that's where I met my wife. And I thought, well, I'll temp at some studios and get my foot in the door and see what happens. And one of the first places I temped was DreamWorks Animation. And, I was pretty good about not getting fired, and I kind of worked my way up and eventually got a job working for a great guy named Bill Damashki, who's the chief creative officer, and through him I got to work on How to Train Your Dragon 2, and from that I got to write on the How to Train Your Dragon show on Netflix, and then I got to write some apps and the comic books, and then that led into writing a lot of stuff for Troll Hunters, which I also love. So for the past decade almost, I've been working on a lot of DreamWorks properties, mostly dragons and Troll Hunters, a little bit on trolls, and then we had a project called Boo, which was really cool. It was kind of like almost like a Ghostbusters kind of thing that sadly never saw the light of day, but I wrote a ton for that and fell in love with that. And but in the meantime, I still was very much bitten by the comic book bug and always wanted to get back to it, and was sort of not self-publishing my own stuff, but trying to pitch to other publishers. And I finally got one of my original stories called Scoop picked up by a publisher called Insight Comics,
which I finished reading. It was awesome, dude. It was a really good read. I was it was in my stack of books from New York Comic Con, and I got through it in time because I knew you were going to be on. See the timing? See how it's coincidental?
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of great comics out there, and so it's something I'm proud of. It was based, even though I am not a 14-year-old redheaded Cuban American girl, it is, as far as you know, it is based on my life. And when I was growing up in Miami and I was in college, I had an internship at CNN. And my first day on the job was the day that Gianni Versace was murdered in front of his mansion in South Beach.
I was wondering about
I don't know
that.
if you remember that, but it was a pretty big deal in Miami, and kind of across the U.S. It was like the first big story in the 24-hour news cycle after OJ and after the OJ trial.
Sure.
And so I showed up to CNN my first day on the job wearing like a suit and a tie, trying to be very impressive. And 20 minutes into it, all the phones lit up, and they found out somebody very important had gotten murdered in South Beach, and they said, go down there, go learn something. So I got to ride in the news van and drove down there and got driven right up to a crime scene, which is very grisly and horrible. And I don't mean to make light of it, but that experience had a big impact on me. And, forever since then, I wanted to tell a story that had to do with media and sensationalism, but also kind of conspiracies and behind-the-scenes stuff, and that's where Scoop came from.
Take me through the pitching process, because we come from the self-publishing world, and the self-publishing world is well, if I got to do it, I'm going to do it myself. And there's that kind of like resiliency, but the pitching process. How many publishers did you go through before Insight, finally went? I mean, there's the classic story of Harry Potter. She went to like 20 different publishers, and then there was like one guy who happened to be her champion. Is like, yeah, okay, we'll do Harry Potter. And I had a strong feeling, and hey, now it's the biggest, franchise in the world. So there's no shame in saying, we have to go to this publisher. Like, what was the process like to get that going?
Well, I mean, originally I had intended to self-publish it, but it was right around the time when I was starting to work full-time at DreamWorks, and my son was less than a year old, and, my productivity took a huge nosedive. But it was for the best reasons in the world, and so then it was kind of became a process of, all right, well, I don't have the bandwidth, and I certainly don't have the money or the resources now to self-publish it, so how can I convince somebody else to spend their money on this? How can I make it seem like a slam dunk for them? And there were many, kind of dead ends and brick walls that I hit, but I had written some How to Train Your Dragon stuff for Insight Editions. It was kind of a sort of reputable book publisher, and then I'd found out that they were going to launch their own line of comics. And I said, hey, I really liked working with you guys on this dragon thing. I have this idea for this graphic novel. I've been carrying it for a long time. I'm going to pitch it to you. And, long story somewhat shorter, they agreed to accept it. But the pitch was it started as just a one-page document. If I could distill the whole, kind of, not the entire story, but the feel of it, the tone of it. And if basically I could get the main character, Sophie, if I could get her across, what her arc is and kind of what the vibe of the whole story is, that would be maybe enough to hook them, and then I can get them with something else. And that's exactly what happened. So I had this one-pager that I wrote, and then I wrote sort of on spec what the script of the first issue or the first chapter of a graphic novel would be. And then I had written up a lot of sort of character bios and kind of a prospectus about where would the series go in success if we did future volumes. And the idea is that every graphic novel is its own mystery, but there's sort of a larger mystery uniting all of them. And I kind of used Veronica Mars as a big-time inspiration and template. So on Veronica Mars, on one season of the show, there'd be kind of a large mystery that would unite the whole season, but then there were storylines that would carry over from one season to the other, and I basically just ripped that off for season.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, because your background, your comics background. I mean, we were again in the trenches in 2006, and giving away our age a little bit too. I mean, we grew up on all the Image stuff. We grew up. You had mentioned Ultraverse to me, as being kind of an inspiration to you. But Scoop is to me. For anybody who hasn't checked it out, they should go check it out, and I'll give you an opportunity to plug it in a little bit. But it's a very contemporary story. It's grounded in reality. I mean, it's everything that graphic novels are now versus what they were 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, it's superheroes and that's it. I mean, are you jonesing to get back to that? To that superhero world, or do you? I mean, in my opinion, I almost feel like it's past. I almost feel like that time is. The superheroes of today are just so different now, and there's no going back. It's like going back to 90s music. We're not going back to it. I just don't feel like it's coming back. What do you think?
It's interesting. I was just sort of having a conversation like this with my wife. I mean, as somebody who is weaned on comics, I always have a soft spot for superheroes, and yes, I would, go back to it in a New York minute. But I feel like, I don't know. In this more woke world, quote unquote, superheroes don't necessarily have to be in costumes, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, Sophie, even though she's a 14-year-old girl, she's incredibly empowered and she's really making a difference in people's lives. And so I treat her as a superhero. And I think even, Kristen Bell, when she announced that they were doing the revival of Veronica Mars on Hulu, was saying that Veronica Mars is a superhero outside of a costume. And so that's the way I see it. So I think there are still superhero stories to be told, whether or not they have the trappings of the costumes or Batcaves and supervillains and all that may be a little more up in the air. But I feel like at their core, those sort of morality plays, that those stories of good versus evil will never go out of style. And if anything, they're probably more necessary now than they've ever been in decades.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's me on my soapbox. That's how I feel about it.
Well, real quick, tell everyone where they can find Scoop and tell everyone where they can find you.
Scoop is available at fine booksellers across the globe, but you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Noble. You can order it directly from Insight Comics or Insight Editions. And, the elevator pitch on it is it's Veronica Mars meets X-Files. So if you like either of those shows, if you like comics, if you like YA, if you like me, which I think I really only like maybe my mom, check it out. It's really good. And every comic I've done from when I've self-published to today comes with a money-back guarantee. If you read it and you don't like it, I will buy it back from you, no questions asked. I mean, don't be a jerk about it. But if you read it and legitimately don't like it, it's cool. I'll buy it back. I will say I've never had to buy back a comic I've written.
Well, I want to get $5 out of you.
This one's a good one. So, and you can find me. I'm on Facebook at Richard Ashton Hamilton. You can find me on Twitter at Regards Richard.
Well, keep us posted on the next stuff going on because I do want to drill you as to whether you enjoy writing screenplays or writing comics better. But we'll save that question for a future interview.
Comics are better. Screenplays are better.
Damn it! No, radio tease.
Sorry.
Tease,
Oh no,
tease.
yes, to be continued. Cliffhanger. Yeah.
Richard Hamilton, thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, we go spinning the racks.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
The best designs for your life start at home. I'm David Thiergartner, interior designer and host of At Home. Listen live Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as we talk to the very best professionals about interior design and the design that's all around us, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul. Join me to uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to living a healthy life. Join us every Wednesday at my new time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Rosario Dawson's just got like,
whoever her agent is.
she's like, put me in everything.
Yeah. But you don't mean everything, do you? No, I do.
No,
I mean everything.
I mean everything.
I want to be in someone's birthday cake next week.
That may have been the funniest thing you've ever said.
No.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I want to thank our guest, Richard Hamilton, again. How to Train Your Dragon writer, Scoop. He's doing some stuff at DreamWorks that he can't talk about, but he'll talk about soon, which is pretty cool. Definitely have him on again. Awesome dude. Again, it's just always exciting anytime someone was in the trenches to see him or her.
To see success.
Yeah, it's good.
Things actually work out
good,
for a
you know?
change.
I just, the other thing too, and we kind of talked about it near Comic-Con, he and I, it's like there is no path to success in this industry. And he actually had thought by taking a job at DreamWorks was actually like failure at that point, because he's sitting there saying, well, I came here to publish comics and now I'm like temping, and now I'm
working
like just
for Disney.
Yeah, well, I mean, before he even got there, it was just like, he's like, well, I guess I'm in the sphere of what I want to do. But that to me, when we used to work at Wizard Magazine, that was one of the biggest things that I actually despised. I was interviewing all these people doing what I wanted to be doing. And it was almost punishment in a way. It was almost like, so tell me about all this stuff that you're doing that I wish I was doing.
But obviously, that's all just your perception of what it was, because he turned it into a success story. So
I feel like
so what's
we
wrong
did
with
too.
you?
I feel like we did too.
No,
you don't think this is a success? Look at you here. It's a middling podcast. Look how great we're doing. All right, we were talking Daredevil season 3, and I wanted to get a couple little fan reactions before we do this. I think
man, we're gonna run out of time. Like acknowledging them.
Daikon Kane, I enjoyed the hell out of it. One of the best seasons of any Marvel series so far. Brian Everham, I think it rivals season 1, maybe slightly better. The villains are great. Omar Morales, well, actually, we'll go Fabian Nicieza first. one of our favorite guests
Friends of the
and
show.
creator of Deadpool. Best season yet. I thought episodes 1 through 9 were A+. The last 4 less so. Gets a very high B+ overall from him. Omar Morales, who created The Crusader, who's got actually the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest printed comic book ever done. Very exciting.
Well done.
I colored some of the pages in there, so it's good.
Nice.
He said it's okay, a bit predictable, and then I wrote Marvel Netflix predictable or comic book predictable, and he said both. Both have a formula and both are in play. You agree with that statement?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know about predictable, because I mean everything, you could claim anything is predictable after you've seen it.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know how much of it I predicted.
I saw the end coming because there was 13 episodes, and I knew there was going to be an end coming, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
that kind of predictable.
Around episode 13,
Yeah.
I figured they were going to start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
And I predicted that very cleverly.
Mhm.
No, I don't know. Predictable. I don't know what you would call.
Yeah.
It's familiar.
Okay.
It was very familiar, but I don't know if I would call it predictable.
All right. Well, we want to know your
not
thoughts.
in a negative like that. You know.
Keep commenting on the Facebook feed, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. We'll be commenting all week long as well, too. YouTube, same thing. If you leave some comments, we're over there. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to build that up. It's something that we sorely need to do. And that's it for Daredevil Season 3. We do this every week. We go spinning the racks, bring you the most fantastical pop culture news.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Wonder Woman 1984 sequel has been pushed back to summer 2020. Gal Gadot made it known that Warner Brothers has officially announced they've pushed back Patty Jenkins' highly anticipated sequel by 7 months. She shared the news on her personal Twitter page. This is according to comicbookmovie.com, although she put it on her Twitter page. We had tremendous success releasing the first Wonder Woman during the summer, so we saw an opportunity to take advantage of the changing competitive landscape we did. The movie lands the film exactly where it belongs. That's kind of like a reshaping of, hey, we need to push you back.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
what we always wanted.
That's a version
wanted.
of we lowered our expectations and it exceeded our lowered expectations.
Yeah, the move is fairly strategic as Wonder Woman had immense success the same weekend. But with James Bond 25 shifting to February 2020, Wonder Woman wasn't expected to face much competition in its November date. But now Joaquin Phoenix's Joker opens a month prior. So it appears they didn't want to bump it up. Kingsman 3 is November 8th next year.
Wow.
Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog, November 8th. Terminator 6, November 15th, my birthday. And your birthday, right? No, you're the 14th.
I'm the 16th.
You're the 16th. You're the day after. Rob Felton was my birthday. Okay. Disney's Frozen 2 comes out November 27th. So now all of a sudden November next year is like just a huge cluster F.
Huge wash.
So
Good for her.
That's the question, though, you said to me, is it crumbling?
That's because it seems like a lot of their, like things are being dismounted and displaced and moved around and pushed around. And
I don't think it is. I think it's not too big to
not.
fail. It's not it's.
But superheroes are going to need the change. I think the superhero genre is going to last, but only if it can kind of change a little and get into things. One of the problems with the Netflix stuff, which is why I'm not really upset that they're getting canceled, is because we were talking about before.
Yeah,
it was the interconnectability of the MCU, which is what, in my opinion, what makes the MCU so very difficult to topple. Is because every installment there's an Easter egg for something else, or there's something connected, or there's Iron Man's in this one, or Thor's in the next one, and Spider-Man's in this. So it's kind of like you're getting an episode of the same story over and over, and that's why all those movies are so successful.
Yeah.
When you watch the Netflix shows, it almost goes out of its way, as we were talking before about not being superhero-ish, to kind of get away from the comic book aspect of it, and to not take advantage of the landscape that they're building. They're all that world building. They're all in the same city. They're all doing the same thing at the same time. Why aren't we seeing them all? Why aren't they all connected? Why are they going out of their way to kind of turn these superhero things into dramas? And that's I think that's a waste. I think they've squandered something really good that they had when it started. A lot of goodwill.
To ping pong over to DC, though, they've squandered it by just being
Not
so
good.
clumsy about everything they do at the same time. So I agree.
So blatantly trying to rip off the MCU instead of making their own thing.
And look, but at the end of the day, I think the Wonder Woman franchise is safe. I think
I think so.
I think comic book movies are safe.
I actually think Aquaman will do okay.
I think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, and
really
I'm
do too.
excited to see it. It looks some of the stuff I've seen has been. It'll at least be a series of amazing visuals.
Yeah.
So that'll be something.
I agree with you. All right, I wanted to squeeze this one in. It's our last story of the day. Cops searching for a Ross from Friends lookalike suspected of theft. If you check it out, there's surveillance video in London of a guy robbing a liquor store. He looks exactly like David Schwimmer, so much to the point that police in Blackpool, England, were sorry to rule out David Schwimmer as a suspect. British authorities investigating a restaurant theft have ruled out David Schwimmer, even though Facebook users noticed the striking similarities. Thank you to everyone for your speedy responses. Blackpool police commented, "We have investigated this matter and have confirmed David Schwimmer was in America on this date. We're sorry it had to be this way." Check out the video feed. I know this is radio for some folks, but if you go to secretsofthesire.com and restream the video, go to the very end and you will see it. Basically
that is an utter mistake. That's an utter mistake.
No one told you it had to be this way.
No, it's an utter mistake. Obviously, David Schwimmer has a teleportation pod. Just obvious
Which
answer.
would be the superpower of choice for
that would be my that would totally be my superhero power. Yes.
So he showed up.
And so he's not only teleporting, but he's also robbing people. That's a great story.
Week. Again, I want to thank our guest Richard Hamilton. Awesome stuff. Next week it's Halloween, so that means the greatest horror movie Rankum is going to be upon us. We are going to rank the top 20 horror films of all time. We'll probably get through 3. Happy Halloween.
See, now that we've hung a lantern on it,
potential mystery guest. We're trying to wrangle this mystery guest in. It's going to be pretty awesome. Governor's House up next.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.